Marc Marquez acknowledges that his chances of winning the 2024 MotoGP championship are no longer feasible, signaling the end of his title aspirations. Marquez, along with Bastianini, are now out of contention for the MotoGP title race. Martin and Bagnaia provide their reactions. Let's delve into this discussion and stay tuned until the end. Marc Marquez has conceded that both his and Enea Bastianini's aspirations for the 2024 MotoGP World Championship have been all but extinguished after a disastrous Indonesian Grand Prix where neither rider managed to score any points. The race, held at the Mandalika circuit, was a critical moment for both riders, as they had slim but tangible hopes of challenging for the title. However, with the recent setbacks, those ambitions have been seriously derailed. Before heading into the Indonesian GP, Marquez and Bastianini were trailing championship leader Jorge Martin by 50 and 53 points, respectively. After the sprint race at Mandalika, their chances, while faint, were still alive. However, in the main race, disaster struck for both riders. Marquez, who was hoping to claw back crucial points, suffered an engine failure, forcing him to retire from the race. Meanwhile, Bastianini, running in third and looking strong, crashed out, leaving him without any points as well. These outcomes significantly widened the gap between them and Martin, with Marquez now sitting 75 points behind and Bastianini 78 points adrift as they head into this weekend's Japanese Grand Prix at MotoGP. Despite there still being 5 rounds left in the 2024 season, Marquez has admitted that it is now essentially a two-man race for the title between Jorge Martin and reigning world champion Francesco Bagnaia. When asked if he believed the championship was now a straight fight between the two, Marquez responded, "I think so. I believe both Martin and Bagnaia are a step ahead of the rest, especially because they're consistently a bit faster than the other riders, including myself." In Mandalika, both Bastianini and I failed to score points, which was a massive blow. The points gap is just too big now to realistically close. The game is over for us, but it will still be fun to watch how the season unfolds. Even though he no longer considers himself in the running for the title, Marquez remains motivated to finish the season on a high note. Reflecting on his 2024 campaign, he remarked, "Honestly, my main target for this season was already achieved after the Aragon Grand Prix win. I wasn't setting out to fight for the championship, but now I want to focus on improving my consistency, especially in qualifying where I've struggled. Crashing in 3 consecutive Q2 sessions has definitely been a weak point. My goal for the remaining races is to be more consistent, finish strong, and hopefully fight for the podium. That's where my focus is now." On the other side, Enea Bastianini hasn't entirely written off his chances of competing for the title, although he recognizes how steep the challenge has become. Heading into the Japanese GP, Bastianini acknowledged, "The gap in the championship standings is getting bigger, no doubt, but mathematically it's not impossible. We'll keep pushing and I'll try to make the most of these last few races." The upcoming Japanese GP at MotoGP now sets the stage for what looks like a thrilling showdown between Martin and Bagnaia. Only 21 points separate the two at the top of the standings, following Martin's victory in Indonesia last weekend. Marquez, who will now aim to interfere in this battle and challenge for wins, admitted it will be a tough task. They're both really fast and it's going to be difficult, but we'll try to fight with them in these last few races. As the season heads into its final stages, the once wide-open title race is narrowing to a duel between Jorge Martin, who has shown impressive form and consistency, and Francesco Bagnaia, who is seeking to defend his crown. For Marquez and Bastianini, the focus will shift to salvaging strong finishes and preparing for next season, knowing that while 2024 may no longer hold a championship for them, there are still battles to be fought and victories to be claimed. As the 2024 MotoGP World Championship enters its final stretch, many are speculating whether the title battle has boiled down to just 2 riders, Jorge Martin and Francesco Bagnaia. Heading into the final 5 rounds, Martin holds a 21-point lead over Bagnaia, and while other riders were once considered potential challengers, it now appears that the championship may come down to these 2 frontrunners. This narrative took center stage during the press conference at MotoGP Japan, where both Martin and Bagnaia weighed in on the current state of the championship. However, a few weeks ago, the championship picture wasn't quite so clear. Bastianini and Marc Marquez were still seen as dark horse contenders, but their hopes took a serious hit last Sunday at the Mandalika race in Indonesia. Bastianini's costly crash and Marquez's engine failure left them trailing by 75 and 78 points, respectively. With just 185 points remaining in the season, the odds are stacked against them. Despite this, Martin and Bagnaia are not ruling anyone out, at least not yet. In a season that has been unpredictable, with both of the current leaders having suffered 11 scoreless races out of 30, anything remains possible. But Martin is realistic about how things are shaping up. Last weekend in Mandalika was very stressful, Martin admitted, reflecting on the crash that almost derailed his weekend. Saturday I went down, and then on Sunday, both Ineos and Marc didn't finish. It's been a while now since I thought that Pecco and I would be the main title contenders. I think it's going to be a fight between us, but of course there are still 5 races left and anything can happen. He didn't completely discount Bastianini and Marquez, acknowledging that mathematically they're still in the hunt, but Martin's focus is firmly on his rivalry with Bagnaia. They have a chance for sure, but it's a tough road for them. Right now, it feels like Pecco and I are the main players in this battle. Martin, who is competing for his first Premier Class title, spoke about the privilege of competing against such accomplished riders. For me, it's an honor to fight with someone like Pecco, who's already a world champion, and riders like Marc and Ineos. These are guys I've looked up to, and now I'm in the mix with them. But as things stand, it's really coming down to Pecco and me. I think these last few races will be thrilling. Bagnaia, the reigning MotoGP champion who narrowly defeated Martin in a tense final showdown in Valencia last season, echoed his rival's assessment of the situation. Since the middle of the season, the two Ducati riders have consistently outperformed the rest of the field. Bagnaia acknowledged that while Bastianini and Marquez could still make a comeback, he also knows how fragile this season has been, with small mistakes or crashes dramatically impacting the point standings. From the beginning of the season, Jorge and I have set ourselves apart from the rest of the field, Bagnaia said. It's true that as long as Ineos and Marc are mathematically still in it, we have to consider them threats. We know how easy it is to make a mistake this year. A crash can change everything in an instant, and Jorge and I know that better than anyone. That said, Bagnaia feels the championship has become more of a two-man race. Since mid-season, Jorge and I have been the ones dominating the races, leading sessions and consistently performing. This season has shown that things can change quickly, but I do believe it will come down to Jorge and me. We've been the most consistent riders, and that's what matters in a championship fight. But until it's mathematically impossible, we have to stay sharp and be ready for anything. Bagnaia is determined to defend his crown, but he's well aware that his rival Martin is hungry for his first title. I've been in this position before, and I know how tough it is to keep focus in these final races. Jorge is pushing hard, and he's shown he has what it takes. I expect it to be a close fight all the way to Valencia. For both riders, the pressure is mounting as the season nears its conclusion. The championship, which has been full of twists and turns, now seems like it's headed for a final showdown between two riders at the peak of their powers. While Martin has the points advantage heading into the final stretch, Bagnaia has experience on his side, and both are keenly aware of how easily things can unravel with just one mistake. As they head into the final 5 races, it's clear that all eyes will be on the growing rivalry between Martin and Bagnaia. Both are bracing for a battle that could go right down to the wire, and neither is taking anything for granted. What once seemed like a wide-open championship has narrowed to a duel between two elite riders, with the MotoGP title hanging in the balance. Hey, MotoGP fans! Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with all the latest action.